Good morning, good morning, good morning. You know what today is? It's Monday Morning Chats with Sack, and Sack is me. I hope that you guys had a great weekend. I hope that you had an even amazing Christmas. I had a great Christmas, honestly. I think this was one of the great Christmases I had in a while. Like, I got everything that I wanted and more. Like, it was just, I really, really, really enjoyed myself. And I think the highlight of this Christmas was that I was able to spend this Christmas with my mother and father in one house. And the last time that happened, I can say I was probably about, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7. So for us to be together under one roof for the holidays, it was a great feeling. So I'm very thankful, very, very thankful for that. So I wanted to talk about like this is the last Monday of 2020. And although some crazy things has happened this year, I can honestly say there's been some great things that happened this year. Like some amazing, great things. So before I get started, I want to read you guys this poem. So one of my Christmas gifts that I got is this poem book. Um, if you know me, I really love poems and I like to write poems. So some of my poems are in this journal right here. Maybe one day I'll recite my poem to you guys. I don't know, but I wrote poems since I was in, I want to say like the third grade, because I had like this language arts class, and I've been writing ever since. Like all I do is write. Um, my poems are a little different now because I experienced life. So my goal is to continue to write more poems. Like I really love to write. But this poem book is amazing. So I want to read this one poem out of here. It's called Strength, and it kind of relates to what I want to talk about today. Okay, so it's called Strength. I convinced my fist that it was a flower. I relaxed, it bloomed, and I forgave you before you even apologized. So that's the poem. So one thing about poems, if you guys don't know, poems don't have to be long. A poem can actually be 3 sentences. It could be one sentence. It's just a thought or idea. And then you can talk about whatever you want. So that poem was very short, but it talks about strength. It talks about forgiveness. For today, I want to briefly talk about, my reflections at 2020. Now, a lot of people, when they think about 2020, are like, this was one of the worst years because of the pandemic. This is the first time in years where people are telling us what we cannot do. And one of the things we cannot do was to go outside. And things were closed in the beginning of, well, mid March, April, even some May, depending on where you live at. So it was difficult. I know for me it was difficult because I'm always on the run. Like I like to go out. I'll find something to do, like go somewhere. But I needed this pandemic, honestly. This pandemic taught me to just slow down, like to really slow down. Like it's okay to just sit still. And I'm not. I'm so used to being a busybody. Like, oh, I gotta do this, I had to do that. But the pandemic allowed me to really just slow down. Like, hey, you can take a break. Naps are very important. So I definitely got my naps in. Very important. But I thought about all the things like for this year. One of the biggest things that I've learned, that's why I read this poem about strength, is that forgiveness is not something that you just learn after one occurrence. Like forgiveness is something that you have to keep practicing over and over again. It's not something where someone hurts you. You're like, you know what? I forgive that person and I can forgive anybody else moving forward. No, some forgiveness is something that you have to practice every single day. It's not something where you could just forgive and like you mastered it. Like it's something that you have to practice every day because some of the things that people may do to you, like you could have 5 people that would do some type of wrongdoing to you. And one person, the wrongdoing may not hurt as much. But that fifth person, it may hurt a lot. And I would see things like that's why I'm very cautious of what I read and who I listen to because I really hate some of the things I see on social media. Like, I saw this one post where someone said, you don't have to forgive people because they know exactly what they did. I agree up to a certain extent. Like as a lawyer, I'm like, okay, but or there's conditions to that. There's some type of exceptions. When you forgive somebody, when someone does wrong to you, and you had that hurt inside, that's like a debt. And I feel like when you forgive, you're not accepting that person's behavior, but you're releasing yourself from the debt. So that way you don't have to feel that pain again. So when someone says that, hey, I forgave this person, it's not saying that you accepted their behavior, but you release yourself from that debt, so that way you don't have to feel that pain anymore. And it's something that you continuously do. It's not something that you could just do today and then you mastered it and someone does something tomorrow. Now, some things will take you longer to get over, and that's okay. The one thing about 2020, even before the pandemic, just the beginning of this year in total, is that your feelings are valid. Like, it's okay to feel exactly how you feel. Like, that's not a bad thing. If someone hurts you, like, for example, let's say that someone that you know promised you to do X, Y, and Z. And it could be a small thing, maybe like wash your car or maybe like take you to the grocery store. And let's say they forgot about that. And let's say that really hurt you. Like, that's absolutely okay. That's not a petty thought of yours to feel some type of way. Like, your feelings are valid. And a lot of times people will say, oh, you shouldn't feel this way. No, everyone's entitled to their own feelings. Like, if something hurts you, that's absolutely okay. Like, that's absolutely okay to feel that way. Like, that's not a bad thing at all. What else throughout this year is to, if something hurts you, say it. If something bothers you, tell that person. Because sometimes I don't think sometimes that people will intentionally mean to hurt you. Like, I don't think that someone would do some wrongdoing to you intentionally. Some people will, but if you really know the person, they will not do something intentionally. So if someone hurts you or something bothers you, you have to say it. You have to get it off your chest, because what's going to typically happen is that you had this one incident that this person did, and you're not saying anything, and then something else happens and something else happened, even though they may be from different people. That last person that gets that last straw, you're just going to have this outburst. So definitely know how to express your feelings when you're hurt. It's easy to express yourself when you're happy, but when you're hurt, you have to learn to be cautious of what you say. The Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. I think it's James chapter 1, verse 16. But I know it's in James, book of James. And it says that to be quick to listen and slow to respond. So if someone says something to me that I just don't like, your initial thought is, oh, you need to clap back and say something. Me, I take it all in, and I'm like, you know what? I could clap back, but is it really worth it? Is it really worth my time by doing so? And so I would sit back, think about what was said, and then I'll respond. And when I respond, I'm calm, which is the crazy thing. Like, hey, this is something that has been bothering me. This is why it bothers me. This is how it makes me feel. I've learned to never use like always and never. That's like something in therapy. You don't say those things because you are passing judgment on the other person. Instead of saying, you always do this, say, hey, when you do this, this is how it makes me feel. That way, you're letting the person know, hey, based on that behavior, it affected me this way. There's actually these therapy worksheets that I used before, and it actually tells you how to write these statements out. So that way, you're expressing yourself. And two, it's a way for a person to understand you, the person that did some type of wrongdoing. Because if you are yelling at a person, they hear you, but they're not listening. So you want to make sure that whatever you're saying is effective, and the other person that you want to receive it is actually listening and taking it in, not just hearing words come out your mouth. Reflections for 2020. I appreciate my friends. I have some really good friends. I did see some things on social media that said that, 2020 will show you who your real friends are And I really hate that. And I say that because this pandemic has affected people totally different. There's some people where it really traumatized them. And so you have to learn to be patient with them. Like, just imagine if you are in a different state, you're far away from your family, and then there's a lockdown. You don't live with anybody. You can't just go to somebody's house and quarantine because they live far away. This affected people. So if your relationships have, I don't know, maybe some of your relationships with people have changed, instead of focusing on the person, focus on everything that's going on. Some people have lost their family to COVID. Some people just lost their family members. Keep that in mind, and give people grace. One of my friends, I didn't even know this, but I could tell he was a little distant. I'm like, okay, I hope he's okay. And I just sent him, he just told me, hey, I'm dealing with a loss right now. I didn't know what it was. And I just sent him a sympathy card, and I mailed it to him. And he was like, I really appreciate that. And a family member died. Never knew that. And I was somewhat afraid to ask because I'd rather that him come out and tell me that. But I just said, hey, I hope that you're okay. And here's the card. You are in my thoughts. You are in my prayers. And I just hope that you have comfort during this time. Didn't even know somebody died. I just try to put two and two together, I guess, to do that. Another thing during 2020, I would say, as it relates to reflections, is that whenever you ask somebody for an opinion, be cautious of who you ask the opinion of. If the person is very negative, you're not going to get positive feedback. And I also learned that no matter how many opinions that you get, at the end of the day, you're going to still make your own decision. And I think that when we ask somebody for our opinion, we already know our answer. Sometimes we need validation to say, okay, does this even make sense? But regardless of what people tell you, hey, just make your own decision for yourself. Because what you don't want is to look back at the decision that you made and say, hey, you know what? I listened to this person. Like, you are the gatekeeper of your happiness. No one can't change that. Be happy first. Be happy within yourself first. No one can make you happy. They can only add to your happiness. If your happiness is within another person, you'll never be happy, because what if that person leave you tomorrow? Your happiness goes with them. But if you're happy for who you are as a person, whoever comes in your life can just add to it, whatever it is. That whole thing about, catch flights, not feelings. It's okay to catch feelings. Like, it's okay to actually like somebody. And it's okay to be genuine about that. I just think we just live in this world where, we have the Megan Thee Stallions, we have the City Girls, where it's just like, hey, I'll just have sex with this guy, not care about them. And the tables turn for some men, not all, and some women, not all women, but it's okay to actually like somebody. It's not a bad thing. Like, it's okay to actually have feelings for someone. We just live in this world where it's just like, hey, I'm just going to be cold. I'm not going to be vulnerable, but that's just the key to getting relationships. And I will read about vulnerability all the time, and you can't say that you want someone and you're not vulnerable. Like, those two things don't add up. Another thing during reflections for me for 2020 is that if you don't want somebody, tell them. Don't lead somebody on. Like, if you don't want them, like, be very direct. Say exactly how you feel. I truly believe that if you give somebody an inch, they'll run a mile. So if this is not what you want, say it. I'm telling you this because I'm telling you from my own experience. Sometimes people would have this idea, hey, maybe you're leading this person on. Hey, there's a possibility. No. Say exactly how you feel. I told somebody that I'm like, hey, I don't even talk to you at all. And you are trying to come back in my life. Like, no, this is where it ends here. This is it. I don't want you at all. And I'm not sure, my kindness, you assume that this was insinuating that we're going to have more. We will not. And Some people may call it as harsh, but made it very clear. Once I said that to that person, I never had a problem at all. Um, Never had a problem. Um, Making a distinction between platonic male friends and someone that you're interested in. And I can only say this for females. I have male friends. And honestly, I probably have more um, male friends than female friends. I probably do. However, if I call you my male friend, I do not want to sleep with you, and I have not slept with you, and I have no intentions to do so. You are in the friend zone. You are my friend. There's nothing more, nothing less. But when someone tries to cross that line, if I picture, if you're a platonic friend and you are in the friend zone, and I feel like you're trying to like get out the friend zone, that's when I had to draw the line. And that's very important for women because sometimes some men will try to be your friend to try to creep up to whatever. If that's not clear where you guys are both interested, because it doesn't make sense when one person is interested and the other person is not. There's been times where I'm very attracted to the person and we took things slow and eventually those type of things, it happened, something great came out of it or whatnot. But if the intentions aren't made clear, and if I say, hey, you're my friend, you're my homie, if I call you brother, you definitely know it's over. Like, you never have a chance. But for me, I'm very clear on my platonic friendships. And my goal is I want to get married. So I don't need any guy thinking that he has this one chance, this one slip up, because he won't. So it's being very clear. And I told somebody that, like, hey, do not make sexual advances at me. If you do that, I will block you. And it crushed him, but he respected me and he never did that again. And I made it very clear, like, hey, if you make any other sexual advances at me, I will block you. And that's it. And I will act like you don't exist. Don't do that. I don't appreciate that. I never said anything to you to make you think that saying these sexual advances is something attractive. I'm not attracted to you. I look at you as my homie, my friend. That is it. Nothing more, nothing less. Another thing during reflections in 2020 is that my house is my safe haven. Like, I love being in my house. And I'm cautious of who I let in my house. And so when it comes to like different functions that I have, I can't let everybody in. And that's not a bad thing. Like, that's not a bad thing. Like, my cousins will always say, Sakin, you got the same type of people here. Yeah. It's my same crew that I have, and that's okay. Reflections for 2020 is that I appreciate quality time. I like my me time. I like quality time with people that I care about. I love my girls' time, ladies' night. That is everything to me. And I realized, like, you don't need a lot of money to have a good time. As long as I'm with good company, and good food and wine, definitely not New Jersey devil wine. Like, I would never, 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 never drink that again. Ever. That is definitely the devil in itself. But as long as I have just good people and good food and good wine, like, or if I just have good company, like, I'm absolutely okay with that. Lastly, there's so much I can say, but for sake of time, lastly is that you can really get what you really want. And sometimes, like, I will look at my dream board that I did last year, and sometimes makes me cry because I'm like, wow, like, I really got almost everything that I wanted. But I realized that, hey, you can get what you really want if you pray for it. So some of the things I asked God for, like, he really gave it to me. And I'm grateful. I'm very, very grateful for that. I'm thankful for this year. And I only know that 2021 will be an even better year. And that's my reflection so far for this year. But I pray that you guys get everything that you want and more. I pray that instead of looking at all the bad things for 2020, look at all the good things that happened. And I pray that 2021 is an even better year for you. I pray that today is amazing, your Monday is great. I pray that your Tuesday is phenomenal. I pray that your Wednesday is spectacular. I pray that your Thursday, New Year's Eve, is a day of reflection. I pray that your Friday, New Year's Day, is full of new beginnings. And I pray that your weekend is lit. And I pray that you just never forget how amazing you are, because you are so dope and you are so fantastic. Take care, guys. And again, happy Tuesday.